Hey everybody, Akash Inti, your favorite biotech research analyst, today with you guys on a biotech basics video on cell therapies. We'll get into what are cell therapies, why are we talking about cell therapies, and what does the future of cell therapies hold. With that, if you guys like this, like, comment, subscribe, share, simply looking to spread the message of what I know to others who may enjoy it and appreciate it. Awesome, with that, so cell therapies, first off, a really key critical concept that's important before we even get into what are cell therapies is what is a cell? Bingo. A cell is the basic building block of life. In other words, when we look at a cell, this is the most basic unit of life that biologists consider. Okay, cool. With that knowledge in our mind and context given to us, we'll put that over here and get into what are cell therapies. Well, cell therapies are a type of therapeutic. In other words, they are what's considered a drug, something that's input into a therapy, something that treats disease or injury, and is pharmacologically given, or in other words, it's prescribed by a doctor as like typically a pill, injection, so on and so forth. Awesome. Cell therapy now is what the medicine that the doctor is giving is actually a cell. So it's a basic building block of life. In other words, you're giving a person the most basic building block of life as the treatment itself. So one person might be like, well, why would you do that? Well, depending on the disease, it might be really important to go and give a certain type of therapeutic, or what we've called modality in the past. If you guys check out a prior video, we've talked about the concept of modality. And so modality is the type of therapy. This could be a small molecule, monoclonal antibody, antibody drug conjugate, so on and so forth. We've talked about a few of these. So this is a modality. Different modalities lend to different benefits for types of diseases. So cell therapies would be really great on an example of a disease would be, or an example of a clinical asset is an epidermis bullosa treatment in, I can't even remember it right now. An epidermis bullosa treatment, which is like a skin, it treats skin. In other words, it like creates, it's like a skin graft. So that cell therapy is lends really useful in certain scenarios versus other scenarios where maybe a small molecule therapeutic like Advil, you wouldn't want to take a cell therapy for Advil because it just doesn't make sense. So awesome, cool. So we talked a little bit about what they are. Why are we talking about them? Well, they're really popular therapeutic. I'm sure people may have heard of stem cell therapies or stem cell transplants and all of these things. These are kind of common terms, or regenerative medicine. These are kind of like common buzzword terms that are used, or even cell therapy itself, huge buzzword. There's different types of them, right? So you can have whole organ regeneration, and there's things that are going on in the clinic right now. In other words, there's new therapies being tested, all the way down to a specific cell. So having a cell therapy itself, like as we were talking about that epidermis bullosa treatment. So there's just a wide range of options available. You have tissue, organ buds being like it's a small enough aggregation of cells that can create a whole organ. So there's different types of cell therapies out there in the continuum. So again, why we're talking about it is because it's a common thing. It's new type of medicine that's coming out and really showing huge promise across the spectrum of medicine. Holds lots of promise. And lastly, we're getting into what does the future hold? Well, so we talked about cell therapies. We've talked about, we may have, or I will talk in a future video about what are gene therapies, but if you apply gene therapies to cell therapies, you can really change the functionality of the cells, and you can really play around with them. So One might imagine it as being able to modify this cell, not only the function of it, but also the structure of it. And thus, if you modify the function or the structure, you're implicitly modifying the other one. In other words, if you modify the structure of a cell, you'll automatically modify its function. If you modify its function, you'll modify its structure. Cool. Little aside, a little golden nugget that you can tap into later. Anyways, that's what I've got for you guys today on cell therapies. If you guys enjoyed this, like, comment, subscribe, share. And with that, keep up, thrive, and stay sexy.